Mythgard is out in open beta, and you might have already got your mitts all over it to go ahead and test a few things out. So how do you find it? Well, I'm having a great time playing it, and blue and yellow has been a color combination that I've really grown fond of all the way from alpha to closed beta till now, and I'm sort of continuing my move forward with this color scheme. And here is a deck that has a lot of control implications. If that's your jam, check this one out. I call it B.Y.O.P. So the name B.Y.O.P. sounds like B.Y.O.B, but B.Y. is blue, yellow, and O.P. is overpowered, and yada, yada, yada. Long story short, the name that you see here says Super Awesome Sauce Face, because why the hell not? All right, so let's go through the deck, and then I will tell you a little bit about how it runs. I'll give you the quick sort of run through of the card lists, and then we can talk about the actual gameplay. So what do I got? Well, I've got 1 Ice Spike. I have 2 Brainstorms. I have Bragi Runesinger. I have Kara Morning Wives. I have 2 times Rune of Denial. I have 2 times Thunderclap. I've got 2 Blackened Geotunes. I have Magnus Thorson. I have Cataclysm. I have Triassic Kraken. I have the Living Giant. And then into the yellows we go 3 times Maze of Yatiku. I have 3 times Yahui. Probably one of my favorite cards right here. Yahui. 3 Poxbringers. I've got 2 times the Big Biscuit, the Olama Ring. I have Bob Banzai Vaquero. I've got 3 Metzen Giants. I've got the Revelation of Zimek. I have the Universal Holocon. I don't know why he sounds like, but that's what he sounds like in my head. 2 times Harvester, and 3 times Bulwark, and 3 times Ayers Daughter. People have been telling me, hey, you're pronouncing it wrong, and everybody's suggestion on how to pronounce it is different. So we're just going to call this person Jessica. This is Jessica, and Jessica does the things that Jessica does. Okay, so how do you play this match? Well, this is more so a mid-range to control version of a deck for Mythgard. I had a blue-yellow deck that was really enchantment heavy. But we changed it because we wanted to sort of get away from enchantments because aggro was less prominent. People are now building more mid-range to control versions. That's what the meta is calling for, at least when I'm playing. So we decided to get rid of a lot of things like Maelstrom, Laser Grid, etc. because we're not facing a lot of swarmy stuff. So we changed to Turn of Seasons and Mend. Mend was always one of my favorites, but instead of going for the Rainbow Wonderful Enchantment type thing, we're going with Turn of Seasons. All right, so how does this work? Well, the basic strategy of the game is you want to establish at least a little bit of resistance against your opponent early on against any type of aggro. Basically, if the meta is mid-range to control, you're in the clear. If it's aggro, you have mitigating factors in order to sort of keep you in the game until you can, that magical word. I hate saying it because it always comes back to bite me right in the ass. Stabilize. So with cards like Yahui, with cards like, Yahui's going to help you out. You've got, an Ice Spike to, keep you in the game. Ayers Daughter, 3 times Maze of Yatiku. These are there more or less to just absorb damage and make for unfavorable trades with your opponent, or make it so that it's taxing for them to actually hit face. While you're establishing your blue mana pool to get out cards like like Thunderclap to clear. Same thing with your Magnus, cards that'll get you back into the game in a favorable position. Poxbringer is there because Poxbringer is a very good removal card, and one thing that my deck lacks is just hard spot-on removal stuff that'll just clear a minion off the board nice and clean. Now, there are cards that'll do that, yellow cards, but I don't want to allow my opponent to draw cards. Poxbringer with the rush will allow you to go through, hit a big creature, and let it eventually fade away. What I've found with this deck is you might be taking a lot of face damage early, and that's fine because eventually you're going to be putting down creatures and units that are really tough to remove. And if you're timing it correctly with the seasons and avoiding, the winter where you're fragile you should be able to be okay. So Yahui with Bulwark is one hell of a little tank. You want your Yahui early because it's tough to get rid of. If you can manage to place them correctly and then slap Bulwark on it, they become pretty much impenetrable forces with the armor plus the extra health on it. It is really tough to get through. Of course, Yahui has the ability wherein it cannot take more than 2 damage a turn, so it needs 2 swings of damage right off the bat in order to clear it away. Besides that, things like Harvester will gain you life. Universal Hulkan, Slam Down as a 5/5 is fine, but every turn beyond that, it empowers itself with something pretty damn cool. Alpha Strike is usually my first go, unless I need something like armor to just keep it, in case of sweepers and such. The Olama Ring is going to be okay just to make everything big, bad, and nasty. And of course, win conditions like, Living Mountain are just going to rickroll your opponent. Now, earlier renditions of this deck were very simple because I was facing a lot of aggro, so I played a lot of anti-aggro cards. Maelstrom, Fire Dart Frog, Laser Grid, things like that. But that's not the case anymore. So you kind of have to switch and make and sort of shift your creature base and your power curve towards the end of the spectrum. That's why we have a lot of big dudes. Living Mountain, Triassic Kraken, 3 times 3 times of the Metzen Giant. I have Bob Bonsai Vaquero. Now here's a card I want to talk about. Bob Bonsai Vaquero. What does he do? Well, basically he's a 1/5 for 5 lurker. Doesn't seem like a big deal. But what he does do is it allows you to draw cards, and whatever you draw is straight up smashed against your opponent's face. So if you get lucky and draw a mountain, your opponent's taking 8 damage and you're drawing a mountain. Now, it does cost 3 to do it, but this is kind of a card that if the board state is very much in a status of kind of like a stalemate where it's tough, nobody really wants to make a move, Bob Bonsai Vaquero sits back and just makes sure that you're getting value off of your turns, be it from card draw or damage to face. Is this a final version of a deck that I really want to, I feel is tier 1? Not necessarily, but it's the beginning sort of mold or framework for what I think can be a good card. Revelation of Zimek, again, is that better necessarily than another Brainstorm? I don't think so, but late in the game if you have to go down the yellow mana curve, it's good to burn early, and it's also okay to draw the 3 cards later on. So there's no fuss, no fury there. Like I said, how do you deal with big creatures? Poxbringer. Poxbringer slams down, goes full face, or goes straight into the, crashes into a creature that you don't like, and then you watch it whittle away turn after turn. Bigger cards like Jotun, the Black and Jotun, overrun is important, especially when your opponent is trying to just go wider than you and close gaps so that you can't penetrate for damage. If you're constantly playing defense, your opponent will always be able to sort of find seams because your creatures are bigger. Where they're playing 2 creatures at a time, you might be playing 1 at a time. So you'll always be outgunned in terms of numbers, but you'll be bigger than them. So playing a Black and Jotun with the overrun ability is going to be really, really nice. Now, another thing that is happening a lot in my particular meta bracket, or where I'm at right now, is there's been a lot of enchantments coming up. I used to throw in a 1 Rune of Denial purely for a suppression factor against cards that I didn't like to see or I didn't like the game text of. Now I run a second one because it's just better in case there are disgusting enchantments that are really causing you grief. So a second one of these is good for control. Again, Maze of Yuatu, if it goes unchecked early, draws you a card. Same with Yahui. Yahui is a great little wall to sort of take a lot of abuse and protect your lanes while you establish bigger creatures and start burning mana to get down the road. There's so many other cards that I want to fit in. A 40 card max or a 40 card framework here kind of gives me a little bit of struggle in terms of fitting everything I want. But what I did do is by taking out the enchantment package, putting in more bigger creatures, big bullies, I was able to throw down with some of the decks that like to go long, go big, go hard. I was having a little bit of trouble with aggro, but this deck does gain life, just by the power that you have. The mend power will gain you a life. Same thing with harvester, same thing with every 4 turns based on going from winter to spring, and gain a life that way. So hopefully you guys have a good time with this deck. It has Thunderclap and Cataclysm and all kinds of stuff to clear the board, and then you can go down and throw down your big bruisers. One question I got was, why Cataclysm and why not Misanthropia? Well, simple. While Misanthropia is a surefire way to clear cards off the board, Cataclysm is also pretty big, and it also is able to go ahead and deal damage to your opponent's face. So while they put up their walls and you might not be able to penetrate through, Cataclysm might be that one little extra boost that gets you through. Not to mention, it deals 5 damage to everything. So while you might think your creatures are dangerously close to that number, if we go through all the creatures we have that can survive Cataclysm, it's pretty significant. You have Blackened Jotun at 6. You have Triassic Kraken at 6. Living Mountain at 12. There's a good chance your Kara might be big enough to survive it as well. Let's keep going over here. Universal Hulkan, if you armor it up, can survive. Your Metzen Giants can survive. Your Harvesters can survive. So you're going to have a lot of big creatures that'll be able to go ahead and survive a cataclysmic event. Anywho, that's the name of the deck. I know it's a super awesome sauce face, but we'll call it B.Y.O.P for now. Thank you so much for checking out the channel. I have heard a lot of your suggestions and your wants, your requests. He said, put some gameplay video. I want to see the deck in action. I will begin to do that, and I know that it's not the easy. I know that it seems so easy to do. It's just for me sometimes I sort of bump into some time issues, and I will be making a better effort to make a separate gameplay video of the deck in action so you can see how it goes. I'll try to keep it as unpolished as possible, but as professional as possible too. So there you have it. So keeping your eyes peeled for gameplay videos. And also, if you want to keep caught up on all of your Mythgard information and discussion, the Boneyard podcast is also available. Go through teamrankstar.com. I'll try to throw down a link in the description of this video. My name is Flake. You guys are awesome, and I want to say thank you so much for watching my content. Please hit the follow button, the subscribe button, and all that jam. Leave a comment. I read them all, and I'll answer as many as I can. You can also catch me on Twitter at WatchFlake, twitch.tv/WatchFlake. I answer all your questions when I'm live up there, so come on in and say hi. Thank you so much. Be kind to one another, and don't forget, check out the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube, do all that jam, and go pet a puppy and eat some cookies, because that shit is awesome.